dignitaries, and dear participants present here today. We are delighted to welcome you to the KMA Leader Insight session organized by the Kerala Management Association. Today's session focuses on the timely and thought-provoking theme, India's gig economy, puzzles and paradoxes. As the nature of work continues to evolve, understanding the opportunities and challenges of the gig economy has become more important than ever. We are confident that today's session will provide valuable insights to all of us.
To begin this evening on a thoughtful note, may I request everyone to kindly rise for a moment of silent prayer. Thank you. Please be seated.
Now, to formally welcome you all and set the tone for the evening, I invite Dr. Anil Joseph, Vice President and Program Chair, Kerala Management Association, to deliver the welcome address and introduce the speaker.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's given me immense pleasure to welcome all to today's KMA Leader Insight program on behalf of the Kerala Management Association. We have a very dynamic speaker today, and I have a long biodata to read. I extend a very warm welcome to our distinguished speaker for the evening, Dr. Anjana A Karumathil, Associate Professor of Practice in Organizational Behavior and Human Resources at the Indian Institute of Management, Kozhikode. Our President, Mr. Aljaz Khalid, our Joint Secretary, members of the Managing Committee, past President of KMA, fellow Program Committee members, distinguished guests, members of the media, and all participants who have joined us this evening. Today's Leader Insight session, India's gig economy, puzzles and paradoxes, address one of the most significant transformations taking place in the world of work. Over the past decade, India has witnessed an unprecedented rise in the gig economy, driven by rapid technological advancement, digital platforms, changing business models, and evolving workforce aspirations. Millions of people today are engaged as freelancers, platform workers, consultants, delivery partners, and independent professionals, contributing significantly to economic growth and innovation. Yet, while the gig economy has opened up remarkable opportunities for flexibility, entrepreneurship, and employment generation, it has also raised important questions regarding job security, social protection, fair wages, work relationships. Balancing innovation with inclusivity and ensuring sustainable growth remains one of the biggest challenges before policymakers, business, and society. At Kerala Management Association, we believe that effective leadership is shaped by informed perspectives and meaningful dialogue. Through the KMA Leader Insight series, we bring distinguished thought leaders and experts to share insights on emerging trends, organizations, and the economy. I am confident that today's session will provide us with fresh perspective on the evolving nature of work, the complexity of platform-based employment, and the policy and management challenges that accompany this rapidly changing landscape. It is my privilege to introduce our distinguished speaker, and very special thanks for her at a short notice. She has agreed to come and join us. Dr. Anjana A Karumathil, the Associate Professor of Practice in Organizational Behavior and Human Resources at the IIM Kozhikode, is a widely recognized as one of India's leading voices on the future of work, platform economies, and organizational transformation. With over 15 years of diverse professional experience, she has held leadership roles across globally respected organizations, including Deloitte Consulting, Tata Consultancy Services Limited, and Qatar Gas Transport Company. During her corporate career, she has led leadership development initiatives, advised senior executives, and managed global projects spanning India, United States, Australia, UK, Qatar. At Deloitte, she served as the Chief of Staff to the Chief Learning Officer for India and was also part of the US Tax CEO's think tank in New York. contributing to strategic leadership and organizational development initiatives. Dr. Anjana is not only an accomplished academician, but also a respected public intellectual and thought leader. She's a TEDx speaker whose work has been featured by the BBC and published in Forbes, Times of India, Malayala Manorama, and Mathrubhumi. Her research on platform economies and gig work includes an SSRN top 10 ranked white paper and significant contributions to public policy discussions on labor markets, mental health, digital transformation, and the future of employment. She holds a PhD in organizational behavior from the IIM Bangalore and MBA with distinction from the University of Strathclyde, Glasgow, and an engineering degree from NIT Calicut, where I am also an alumni from. Her current research focuses on platform-based employment, AI-driven transformations in work structure, labor market efficiency, platform governance, and the development of scalable and accountable institutional systems for the evolving world of work. What makes Dr. Anjana particularly suited to address today's topic is her rare combination of corporate leadership experience, academic excellence, policy engagement, and most importantly, the cutting-edge research. She brings together the perspective of industry, academia, and public policy, enable her to provide a comprehensive understanding of the opportunities, challenges, and paradoxes that define India's rapidly expanding gig economy. Please join me in extending a warm and heartfelt Kerala Management Association welcome to Dr. Anjana A Karumathil with a big round of applause. Madam, we are truly honored by your presence and look forward for listening to you and to understand what the future of work is all about. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that warm welcome and introduction. Next, it's my privilege to invite Mr. Aljays Khalid, President, Kerala Management Association, to deliver the presidential address. Sir, may I request you to address the gathering?
Good evening, dignitaries on and off the dais. It's so nice to see a packed hall once again. This is the third program this year. The first one was the TCS head talking on human algorithms, Mr. Arun Narayan Tekkedil. Then we had Joseph Abraham talking about FCRA. And now we have another very interesting speaker. We all look forward to, she's the veteran, an eminent professor in organizational behavior and human resources. She's a PhD on that subject, and I have watched the things which she is doing on the future of work, what work will look like, whether it's going to be jobs, work. In fact, in the just few minutes some time back, we were sitting and discussing about some statistics about the engineers coming out of engineering colleges. This is a figure which somebody had told me, that there are about 30 lakh engineers from IIT to all down to the local college passing out every year, and about 15 lakhs. These figures, I don't know whether it's authenticated, but this is roughly what they said. 15 lakhs gets jobs somewhere or other, mostly in IT companies. Whether it's civil, mechanical, electrical, they join IT company and become a software engineer. But the paradox is, last 3 years, IT companies have not recruited any single engineer. And in fact, a lot of retrenchment have happened. So I was asking her, and she said there is an answer for that, and she will give you the answer for that, where those people are today, employed or working or doing the task and the thing. First of all, I wanted to congratulate our Vice President and Program Committee Chair, Dr. Anil Joseph, for arranging fantastic program. Actually, he's packed it up for the next 2 months, all eminent speakers, and with the support of the co-chair, Dr. Radha Tevanur. This is the third program, the third one from IIM Kozhikode, and the next one from IIM Bangalore, where Ms. Deepa Purania will be talking about marketing 101 and what marketing strategies will look like in 2026 and beyond. So at the beginning of the year, when we were discussing in the committee, Dr. Radha gave a suggestion that we should have lady speakers, at least one lady speaker every month. So we were a little worried whether we will get good speakers, eminent speakers. So we started with Professor Anjana, and that's a good blessing. We will have 4 speakers in 5 weeks of this month, all ladies. So Dr. Anjana, you're bringing...
So I am an experiment.
No, you are the blessing. You are starting it off, and then the next one is IIM Bangalore. Deepa Purania is going to come on. Then thereafter, we have a very important speaker. She's a managing director and CEO of SBI Capital, Bhuvaneshwari A. She's a well-known figure in Kerala. She was with the State Bank as General Manager, Kerala region. Now she's heading SBI Capital globally. She's going to come and talk from saving at the home, women, to making investments. So she's going to talk about, it's going to be Women Managers Forum. And thereafter, that's on the 17th. And on the 21st, we will have an inspirational speaker, again an advocate from Coimbatore, a very leading eminent advocate, Sundar Vadivelu. He is going to come and speak on ingredients for inspiring leadership. She's coming all the way from Coimbatore to address you all. Thereafter, on the 31st, we have again a lady speaker, Dr. Sally George. She's the president and founder of an organization. She's going to talk about gracefully aging. And also we'll have 4 lady speakers in the 5 weeks, except Sundar Vadivelu, all are lady speakers. And besides these programs, we have other programs lined up for you this year, the Digital Summit, and our flagship event is a KMA convention. And the chairman for the convention is Dilip Narayanan. He has started the work already. He has communicated with everybody, asking for feedback, suggestions, and inputs, and to volunteer for the convention. And we have got extraordinary response, fantastic. And from several quarters, we have got several inputs from members. So we are going to officially launch the CAMAC 2027 logo on the 7th of August. And with that, we will have a committee formed. We will wanted to do this year for the first time a 2 full-day program at Grand Hyatt. And believe me, this is the largest convention in the country of management professionals with 2 full days. Of course, it will be registration will be charged, and I look forward to everybody registering for it. At the logo, there will be special offers for launch at the time of logo launch. Thereafter, we have the current topic is passport, correct? That's in the news now. FCRA was in news. Last week we had FCRA. Now it's a passport which is in news. So we will have a serving IFS officer and current regional passport officer, Mr. Dipin PR, IFS. He is going to talk about globally connecting travel, tourism, and transport in August 21st. So these are programs lined up for the next 8 weeks. All what I request you all is to continue participating in it and fill pack the hall. We have one more hall down, so we can relay if there is more people. So please do come and encourage. That's the biggest encouragement you can give to the committee, the president, secretary, and the committee. So I don't want to add anything more. We are waiting to hear from Professor Dr. Anjana. Over to you, madam.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words. And now the moment we have all been eagerly waiting for. It's my honor to invite our esteemed speaker for the evening, Dr. Anjana A Karumathil, Associate Professor of Practice, Organizational Behavior and Human Resources, Indian Institute of Management, Kozhikode, to deliver the keynote address on India's gig economy, puzzles and paradoxes. Ma'am, we are delighted to have you with us. The stage is yours.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. Let me start by telling you a little story. Who doesn't love a good story? So this is a story of King Nimi, who was one of the grandsons of Manu, the father, the mythical father of all humankind. King Nimi decided to do a yajna to ensure his immortality. To do this, he contacted sage Vasishtha, who was the Kulu Guru, to officiate the function. Unfortunately, Vasishtha had a scheduling conflict. He had a prior engagement and asked Nimi to postpone the yajna. Nimi was impatient and found a substitute and did the yajna anyway. When Vasishtha came back to Nimi's place after his previous engagement, he found out that he had been replaced. And he was not happy about that at all. A huge fight followed. And both Nimi and Vasishtha ended up cursing each other. As a result of Vasishtha's curse, Nimi became Videha, means he had to let go of his physical body. Yet, you see, the yajna had completed and he had got his immortality. So the gods now had to find a middle path. So they decided to place Nimi's soul on our eyelids and ensure his immortality by our blinking. Hence the term Nimesha, or what we call in Malayalam Nimisha, which means an instant, the smallest unit of time, the time it takes to blink. It's a strange coincidence that many of the quick commerce companies today call themselves Instamart and blink it. This mythical metaphor of the smallest unit of time has now converted itself into the foundation of a business model that focuses on expediency. So the word Nimisha has just become a linguistic root for modern quick commerce business. Here are some numbers about the gig economy as published by Niti Aayog. As of 2020 to 2021, India's gig economy had around 77 lakh workers, and that constituted about 1.5% of the workforce. A visible but not dominant segment. Yet, if you look at the projections for 2029 and 30, you'll see that the picture is changing completely. As per the government projections, there will be 2.35 crore gig workers in India by that time, and that will now constitute over 4% of the population. Now, the key takeaway from this, of course, one is the increase in size, but more importantly, it is the rate at which this number has increased, and it is the normalization of this kind of work in our society. We have traditionally been characterized by stable 9 to 5 regular work. Yet, now, whatever we used to consider an alternate work arrangement or a side hustle has now slowly become mainstream. That represents a structural shift in the way we as Indians now think about work. Now you can see from here that the gig economy is becoming a dominant force in our economy and is poised to increase further in size and economic contribution. Now that brings us to its first puzzle. The gig economy is typically characterized by these. When people, scholars and practitioners speak about gig work, they always talk about how the income from gig work is insecure. The jobs are precarious. You don't know how much money you will make in a day. You may make a lot, or you may make very little, or you may make nothing. There is no social security. There is no protection. There are no benefits whatsoever. By all traditional accounts of job quality, this is miserable. This is pathetic. These are really bad working conditions. And for anyone looking to enter the job market, this must be very unattractive. Yet, the reality is that millions of people enter the gig economy every year. And as per the Niti number I showed you earlier, the number is expected to triple within a decade. Why is that? The question we must ask at this time is not whether the criticism of the gig economy is valid. It is, for the most part. Yet, the structural explanations of job quality do not account for the empirical behavior that people are showing with respect to joining this form of work. So it is not that. There is something else that keeps the gig economy growing despite all the concerns around job quality. And what is that? To answer that puzzle, if we are asking whether the gig economy is exploitative to the worker, that's actually the wrong question. What we must do is flip that question and ask who all derive value from the gig economy. If we think about that, we will see that it is not just the workers that derive value and money from it. Yes, there are the workers, but there are three dominant groups of stakeholders. Yes, there are the workers. So for workers, especially migrants, students, young people, those without formal educational qualifications, women that are looking to come back into the workforce after a career break. And for groups of people like that, the gig economy is a fantastic option because it has very low barriers of entry. It allows you to earn quickly, it gives you immense flexibility, and that is a huge advantage over a traditional 9-to-5 job. Yet there are the other two stakeholders, the platform companies. Now for the platform companies, this model helps them because it allows them to scale up substantially without incurring any cost that comes from having a full-time permanent workforce. Because of that, the platform companies can enter new markets. They can bring in additional people very quickly to deal with the demand that comes during festival time. And they have access to a wider pool of talent than you would normally have. Now, on the other hand, are the consumers, which is mostly all of us. Most consumers of the Indian gig economy are middle class, upper middle class, or higher. These are rich people with substantial disposable income. We as consumers are spoilt for choice, for convenience, and for the fact that all we have to do is make a few clicks on an app, and the transaction cost of doing that is almost nothing. It is fast, it is seamless, and there is no extra cost. Plus, we have a lot of choice with respect to the same item being available on multiple platforms. Up until a decade ago, all of us that never used these services had no qualms about spending hours to get grocery or get a ride or get beauty services or any other in-home services. Yet now we have become so impatient, we are so spoilt, and we have completely changed our concept of how to do these things, because suddenly they all magically appear at our doorstep. That is value. Now, to the extent that each of these three stakeholder groups perceives value in this business model, the model will reinforce itself. That is why that the gig economy continues to grow in size and economic contribution despite persistent concerns about miserable job conditions. This is an important factor to keep in mind as we move to the next puzzle. The next one moves from the economics of the gig economy to its management. It is the autonomy paradox. Now, the gig economy is marketed with this very attractive promise. Flexibility and autonomy are the name of the game. So it tells you, yes, you can work whenever you want. Yes, you can be your own boss. Yes, you can log in, log out, choose your time, and so on. All of this is true. Most people who work in the gig economy can log in and log out as they please. That is not a concern, it's not a lie. Yet, once they log in to the platform, their experience is very different from what was promised. Every single movement made by a gig worker is tracked with GPS, including, and when I speak about the gig worker, in this context I am speaking primarily about the blue-collar gig worker. These are the on-demand labor people whom we all see. So every movement that they make is tracked by GPS. That includes how long they've been driving, how long they've been resting, where they've been resting, and in some cases even the duration of their bathroom breaks. Not a joke. Amazon actually tracks this. On the other hand, every single job and delivery that they make is rated by customers. If you have used the thing, it will ask you at the end, how was your delivery? How was your ride? Every single one is rated. Then the platforms have created incentive structures that will shape worker behavior the way they want it. So for example, if there is intense demand in a particular area because there is an event there, or if there is a need for food in a particular area, the incentive system will automatically reprogram itself such that it will offer riders and delivery people extra incentives for going in that area. And so even if they don't want to, or even if it is too far away for them, the money will nudge them gently to do it. And so where is your choice in any of this? Then the algorithms allocating work, that's another one. So when you place an order, say for example, you place an order for a ride, you want to go somewhere, your order is shown to many cab drivers or auto drivers in the area. Who decides who sees it? The algorithm decides. So the drivers who see your ride are the ones that the algorithms have decided must see your ride. Even after that, if 2 or 3 people accept it at the same time, the rider who gets allocated to your ride is the one that the algorithm decides should be allocated to your ride. So there you go. So much for control. And of course, there is the penalty for performance. in on most gig platforms, the expectation is that if a job is shown to you, you must accept it. If you don't accept 2 or 3 jobs in a row, the algorithm decides that your behavior is incompliant with its objectives, and that behavior is penalized. Sometimes the penalty comes as a warning, and at other times it comes as instant deactivation. Your ID is just deactivated, and any money due to you up until that point is also not paid. That is the reality of gig work. Now, think about that from, if you were to compare that with, say, a traditional organization. In any traditional organization, you will have much of these functions, right? Yeah. Yet you will see people doing all of these functions. In the algorithmic management world, there isn't anyone doing any of these functions, yet all of them do happen. So that raises the next question, which is, has management disappeared, or is it simply invisible for gig work? Now, to answer that question, we must understand that platforms are driven by 2 fundamental philosophies, what we call logics. One is the market logic, and the other is the corporation logic. The market logic is all about voluntary exchange of services. So, for example, I can decide whether to work, whom to work for, and the extent to which I need to work. That is where the gig economy narrative of autonomy, flexibility, being your own boss, etc., all of these come into play. This is also why this narrative of being your boss attracts many people into the especially young people, into the gig economy. The platforms also encourage that, because as per the Code of Social Security of 2020, the gig workers fall under the independent contractor status. And that means they are independent of the company. So they are independent and they are making independent choices. All right. On the other hand, once these people are onboarded into the gig economy, there is a need to deliver services at an acceptable level of standard. And for that, they use what's called the corporation logic, which is essentially how traditional organizations are run. Corporation logic is all about coordination and control, controlling people's behavior. There has to be someone that allocates work to you. There has to be someone that controls you. There has to be someone that ensures that you perform that work at an acceptable standard and manage you like an employee. That is also what the gig economy does. So now these 2 logics, although they sound contradictory, can coexist. And they do in this world. And the platform economy sits right in the middle of both of them. It takes the language of flexibility to attract people into it. And once they are in the hold of the gig economy, then it uses the tactics of control. So that's what we mean, speaking the language of the market, to yet relying on the logic of the corporation. This is why when gig workers log into these platforms, they experience autonomy and control at the same time. Therefore, the autonomy paradox that I mentioned earlier is not an accident. It is a well-designed systemic outcome that occurs when the market logic and corporation logic are both put together in the same business model. Finally, we move to the third one, which is probably the most interesting one from an HR standpoint. Now, in traditional HRM, human resource management, the foundational assumption is that of an employment relationship. Once a company employs people, then it does all these things. It must recruit them from a talent pool. From there, it must select those that are best. Once they are onboarded, once they are selected, an onboarding has to happen, some kind of training. Then over a period of time, somebody has to appraise their performance. Good performance must be rewarded, bad performance must be penalized. At some point, people will leave, and then their exit must also be managed. This is how traditional HRM works. Now, what are platforms telling us? These people are not our employees. They have no legal employment relationship with us. Their legal status is as independent contractor. So they are independent. They are not people, they are businesses. They are independent. Okay. Yet, let us see what they actually do in practice. They do all these things. They recruit people online using very basic eligibility filters, which most people will qualify. Once they are there and once they decide to onboard someone, there is a verification process for their IDs and criminal background, which also organizations do. Once they are onboarded, there is a training that happens. The training happens through in-app videos and micro instructions that are given to them as notifications as they start their gig journey. After that, every single delivery or every single task they take on is measured. Somebody's feedback is now given for every single task. So it's a constant measurement. If whatever the worker is doing is aligned with what the algorithm wants, bonuses will come. Incentives will come. Extra 20 rupees will come to your account for no reason. Alternately, if the algorithm doesn't like what you're doing, then it will discipline you. The way it disciplines you, it will reduce your visibility to the kind of tasks that are coming within your neighborhood. And alternately, it will show you tasks that are further away, which means you will have to drive all the way there. That is your penalty. And that's called the dry run, for which you don't get paid. It will discipline you. And if you are still not listening, it will terminate you. So it's not whether the HRM processes exist. If you step back, that's exactly what every organization does. It is not whether it is being done, but it is how it is being done. That makes all the difference. Yet, it beats the fundamental assumption that for any HRM process to exist, there has to be an employment relationship. So that is the third paradox. The HRM functions exist like traditional organizations, yet there is no employment relationship. So what exactly are we managing? Now, to answer that, we must compare how HRM functions are performed in traditional organizations versus on the platforms. See, in traditional organizations, these procedures are done using people and institutional mechanisms. I've given you a few examples there. Hiring is done by HR teams. There is a manager assigned to you, and performance appraisal is done over a cycle, over a period of time. On the same way, if you have your pay structures are defined. There are pay bands, there are org structures, there are policies around these things. training is usually done through structured programs by someone that is an expert in that area. There are HR processes for disciplining you. There are HR processes through which you can raise a grievance. There is a legal team. All of this is how it happens with people and processes in traditional organizations. Alternately, how does it happen on a platform? You are hired by an algorithm using the very basic filters. Performance appraisal is an ongoing thing. Your ratings are pretty much real time. You are also measured on your acceptance rate. What that means is if they show you 10 jobs, how many of these are you passing versus how many are you accepting? You are expected to accept everything. And for each task, since remember, Nimisha is the criterion, the speed at which you complete each task is monitored. In some places like the US and in Europe, where food delivery is done over using a bicycle, even the heart rate of the rider is monitored. Now, around the payment, yes, there is no fixed payment. There is no pay band, there is no rate. The rate is what the algorithm says it is. The algorithm will decide a rate depending on what it believes for whatever reason you must be paid. And what is the reason for that? We don't know. Now, training is very generic. It comes with in-app prompts. It expects you, these prompts come randomly, and you are expected to be online on the app when the prompt comes. If for whatever reason you have logged out and missed the prompt, it's almost as if it's a fault that you missed the training. This is very different from how actual training happens. And of course, then that takes you back to the whole disciplining thing. If they don't like how you behave, they'll just deactivate you. That's it. And also, within the platforms, as far as the workers are concerned, there is no grievance mechanism. You as a consumer, you have a grievance mechanism. There's a chat and there's a phone number to call and they will respond. There is no such mechanism for workers whatsoever. So the point of all this being that HRM processes are happening, but when done with an algorithm, it takes control from people in traditional organizations and moves it to code and algorithmic interfaces. So the power dynamic shifts entirely. Now, those are the three key puzzles I wanted to discuss with you today. Now, if you take them all together, you'll see that there's a general pattern, that the gig economy grows despite poor working conditions. They advertise freedom, autonomy, flexibility, yet every single thing you do is watched and controlled. And they put in place all kinds of HRM practices without having an employment relationship, because of which they exert the control but have no liability. Now, one of the main reasons why the gig economy is growing at the rate at which it is because it has these platform companies have managed to decouple elements of work that have traditionally been bound together. So, for example, growth, governance, employers' liability, all of these are bound together in traditional employment, but they are completely independent in the gig economy. So what does that do? It creates a system by which platform companies can scale up very easily. Things look extremely flexible on the surface, but meanwhile, there are big gaping holes of governance and accountability that lie concealed underneath. And that is the core tension of the gig economy. I'm done. Any questions?
Thank you, ma'am, for that highly enlightening and thought-provoking session. We'll now move into the interactive segment of the program, the Q&A session. I request the audience to kindly keep the questions brief and to the point.
Thank you. Fantastic session. I think it was an eye-opener for many of us. Open for question. You can stand from there and say. Mike will come to you, sir. Mike will come to you, sir.
Hello. Yeah. You had talked about the traditional and the platform.
Yes.
But the model that is happening, to my knowledge, with interaction with the gig worker is there is a hybrid model. To give you an example, these gig workers who make the delivery have good potential in Cochin, but not in Malappuram. So many of the people who come from Malappuram work in gig economy. In spite of all this, what motivates them is they join some technical or some courses which is time bound, morning 9 to afternoon 1 o'clock. What they do is after they take the rest, they join this particular delivery app. While they are in the delivery app for 1 or 2 months, when they interact with customers, the customers like them. So for example, many of the drivers whom I hire for my vehicle is these people. I have seen them, how good they are. So I am happy to even send any of my guests in my car using these people. So this is a fixed income for them, which doesn't get reflected in this model.
Sure.
Second important thing is, they do at 5 o'clock, and many of the apps have a control mechanism. Please share the code at the time of delivery.
Okay.
Many of the gig workers take the code from me even before delivery. I know them, they know me. So they do 5 deliveries when they make 1 delivery.
Sir, what is your question, sir? Can you brief?
I'm
Because
saying,
a lot of people are waiting.
the third dimension is what I am talking,
Yeah.
which answers the puzzle. Growth despite poor condition. This is the thing which you have not covered.
That's a senior from IIM Calcutta, 1971 batch. So he has to speak like that. So next one, please.
Yes, sir. If you can speak from there, it's fine. I can hear.
Thank you, madam, for the wonderful but simple explanation of the gig economy. I have empirically observed a gig economy where there is no platform. At different centers in Kochi,
Yeah.
100 to 200 workers gather, mostly from outside Kerala.
Yes.
A lorry or van picks them up,
Yes.
then makes them work at construction sites
Yes. Yes.
wherever they can fit.
Yes.
Then they are dropped back at 5.
Yes.
There is no platform, no penalization,
Yes.
no
Yes.
necessity. If I don't feel like going, I don't go.
Oh.
Where does this model fit into your puzzle?
Thank you for a great question. The people that you saw that are being picked up in the lorries constitute India's informal sector, which is 90% of India's labor workforce. The platform-based economy is a very small part of India's informal sector. The informal sector, these kinds of workers that you mentioned, they have the flexibility to come and go, to go not go if they don't want to do so. That flexibility is there, but once they choose to be there for a day, they are expected to be there from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. as the case may be, and they know that at the end of that day, a certain amount will come to them. In that way, this sector of the informal economy is much better placed with respect to income security. So the price that people pay for platform-based work is the precarity that comes from not knowing whether you will get any work that day at all. The informal sector, you may have work that day or you may not, but if you have it, you are definitely getting a full day's work, a full day's pay, and probably lunch in the afternoon as well. That's the difference. So the platform economy is a very small subset of the informal economy. The people that you saw find work through their contacts, which is how usually the informal economy works. Younger people in the informal economy who are more tech savvy try to move away from this because it is physically intense labor and many young people don't like to do that. It is so much easier to just find work using a phone and do the work using a bike or a car, as the case may be. That's all. They are still part of the informal economy. They are a small subset, small but growing subset. Have I answered your question? Should we encourage this model more than the others? My personal view is that you should. Because at least for a day, or in many cases for a week, these people are usually hired for one single residential project or commercial project or whatever. So for the duration of that project at least, yes, they will get guaranteed income. And that is much better than waking up each morning wondering what you will make that day. Yes. So are they good, generally speaking? Are they preferable to our lifestyle? No. But between those two, should you encourage the manual labor, the person going in the lorry? Much better than app-based work. Yes.
Very good evening, ma'am. I'm an ex-banker. So we have seen that there is a three character in that get benefited of the gig economy. One is that, of course, employees, contractor employees. Second one is corporate, and third one is the consumers. So, but actually, that corporate's not getting the benefit out of this. If you see the most of the aggregate platforms, so-called Blinkit, or you see most of companies making loss. As a banker, as an investor, I also invested in those companies. Across the year on year, because of that wild and blind discounting or subsiding, these companies keep accumulating that loss. If this model following for another 5 or 10 years, where these companies will go?
Okay.
Whether is a right, judgment to take the investors companies.
Okay.
I have one more question after this.
Okay. So can I answer the first one then? Yeah. Okay. So sir, I am not a banker, and so I am a psychology person. Therefore, my answer to this question will be very superficial, and the nuances will not be there. The answer to your question is that I agree with you completely that many of these companies are making losses on paper. Yet, all these companies, Swiggy, Blinkit, etc., are valued very highly in the market. And the reason for that value is the access to the treasure trove of data that they have. And that data comes from millions of people on the platform that are working on it every minute, as well as the customers who are ordering. So they have data on you, data on me, as well as the gig workers and so on. This is essentially terabytes of data, customized data about you and me that many companies want and are buying. This is what they use to train the models and make sure that the recommendations they show us are indeed exactly targeted at us and so on. It is the data. Data is the new oil. That data is being sold everywhere to sell us products that we might be interested in. Currently, because data is not showable on paper as asset versus liability and all of that, because of that, their financial valuation is not the best. But the reason why people continue to invest in them is because they see the value of data and what AI kind of data analysis and big data analysis and all that can do for these businesses in future. That is why.
As keeping my second point, I respect others' questions also.
Okay.
Madam, usually these platforms, online app platforms, usually the millennium people goes there. I mean, and they doesn't want this restriction of time, all those things. And nowadays the traditional companies find very difficult to get people for the 9-to-5 job. So do you have any statistics of this? I mean, the millenniums coming to this gig platforms.
So my answer to it is no, not yet. And the reason for it is that the way gig is defined, the range of this is so broad and the jobs included in this are so heterogeneous that it is difficult for even government agencies like Niti Aayog to make an accurate count of how many people are there in the gig economy. These numbers that I showed you from their report are an extrapolation based on analysis done just in a few cities. And currently, to my knowledge, there is no systematic way to count how many exist at any point in time. The other reason is also that even when you by the time you start counting and you finish counting, many of them have left. The churn in the gig economy is, depending on which report you read, is anywhere between 65 and 85%. So as many people are entering, as they get older or as they get unemployed or if they get deactivated or whatever the case might be, that many people are leaving as well. So how do you make an accurate count? But trends have been found by like these big 4 reports and other smaller studies done by NGOs and so on. I agree with you that as per the trend data that they have found, a larger number of younger people are moving into this, because as opposed to people in, say, my generation or a generation higher. And the reason that they say for it is, one important reason is the intergenerational difference in values. Say one generation, my parents' generation, for example, everyone, whoever was working had usually one job for their career, 1 or 2 maximum. This job that I have is my 4th job. The people that are now in here don't believe in the restrictions that a traditional job requires you to have. And one of the reasons why this happens is the value of loyalty has now declined. And people are more out for themselves than for working for their companies. And because of that, younger people see this differently. We valued stability. Our parents at least valued stability and loyalty. In my generation, I find that people value career growth, money, etc., and whatever exposure, international travel, all that. If you go one generation down, what people value is working for many companies at the same time. And the gig economy allows you to do that. If you're in the white-collar gig economy, you can take a piece of work that is outsourced by, say, TCS, another one from IBM, a third one from this and that and the other. And so you're essentially working for all of them. So why should I be constrained by one company and their rules? That whether this is right or wrong is a matter of debate, but that is a change in the value that the generations place on loyalty.
Hi, ma'am. May I?
Yes, whoever, yes.
Sorry. Just on your last statement, right? You said it is a matter of perspective, right? The generation, it's a matter of perspective that the current generation.
The general generational preferences, yes.
Yeah. So what I wanted to say is, in the slides, I could not help but see that it was like a evil corporation versus the people kind of a thing, right? The employment stability was not there, the poor condition of working and all. But what if the people who are working as gig workers, they prefer this condition, right?
So the part where I said about criticism is the common criticism that is mentioned about how miserable their conditions are. In no way am I saying that they are evil. And the reason for that is that if I were to say so, that would be a very superficial and biased view of what algorithms are. In many countries in the global south, including ours, on the one hand, you can talk about algorithms of exploitation. That is one narrative. Especially in countries like ours, there are many people who believe that these are algorithms of aspiration. And that is because, as I was mentioning earlier to some people here today, when people come out of an educational institution or reach an age where they must be employed, keeping them employed profitably at a level that is commensurate with their skill is the state's job, state as in government's job. For whatever reason, that is not happening. Unemployment is at an all-time high. Underemployment is also at an all-time high. Now, what is the business doing? By giving these platforms and introducing these algorithms into the world, they are giving unemployed and underemployed people something to do all day. and a means to earn an income. Essentially, they are doing the state's job. If this didn't exist, what would all the unemployed people do? Resort to petty crime. So the state stands to gain in different ways here. On the one hand, here comes business solving the problem that they should have solved, and as a positive byproduct also reduces crime, which is also solving a problem they should have solved. So in no way, it would be rather naive to think that algorithms are all about exploitation. But there are critics who believe that these work conditions are bad. If you go to any dark store or you see how they stand on the roadside, you know it is not a good way to work. Yet, for many people, it is much better than doing nothing.
Madam, my question is, does the labor code of 2020, does it run so far behind the gig explosion, or is there some fire in the labor code which can at least come near the gig explosion?
Traditionally speaking, legislation has always lagged reality. And even this code of social security and the independent contractor status has come after years of fighting by gig worker unions. As much as this was introduced, and that is a good first step, there is really no concerted effort at national level to create some kind of framework that is enforced, that will now dispense benefits to them. This has been mentioned in the budget that, for example, there is an e-Shram portal and people are asked to register on it. They are told that if they register, they become eligible for medical insurance and several other things. They probably do, but the paperwork to get all that done is so heavy, and most of these people are illiterate. They end up not being able to avail any of those benefits. So is the law behind? Yes, it is behind. Is there fire? To the extent that these people are great vote banks, there is fire. So close to every election, there is a lot of fire. But are they really getting the benefits that they are supposed to get from this? Usually no. Will it become a social problem? It already is in some states, like Telangana, for example, where the unions are very strong. And they have managed to get some legislation passed. Some of them have even gone to the International Labor Organization and fought there and got a resolution and all of that. Yes, it will become a social problem, but to the extent that it aligns with political will, something will be done. If it does not align with political will, it will become another issue.
The last question.
Sure.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Somebody over there, yes.
Ma'am,
Yes.
I just wanted to ask you about, so you told about the safety checks like that platforms hold.
Very basic safety checks on criminal background.
But then recently I've been seeing a lot of people complaining about safety issues. So is that like, I'm not sure if it's a lot of safety issues concerning drivers, like calling them even after delivering the product. So is platforms, and I've noticed that platforms are not even offering any assistance to such customers also. So shouldn't consumers also be afraid of these? Like, will it be a social issue as it continues?
Customers must be afraid. The same risk you have to get into an auto in the auto stand is the risk you have when the auto driver comes to your house and you get into another auto. Yes. That safety concern doesn't get taken off. The safety filters that they have are very basic. They only check whether you have any previous criminal record, especially with women and all of that. For the most part, it's a fairly simple check process. And even if they engage in these kinds of behavior afterwards, this cannot be predicted. So,
ma'am, as part of the younger generation, I've noticed layoffs from these traditional organizations, apart from government positions. Is layoffs another reason, major layoffs, another reason for the younger generation to shift into a gig economy? As I'm a former KPMG employee, so I've noticed my salary is way lesser than the earnings of a normal Zomato delivery partner. So I just wanted to get an idea, is it because...
One part of it could be. Many, at least in the few studies that I've seen, the younger generation entering the gig workforce is usually doing it before entering into a traditional job. Soon after college is usually when they join. They do it a little bit during college. Some of them like it and they continue it full time. Some of them don't like it and enter traditional jobs. But financial difficulty makes people do lots of things. Some of them do enter after that. Occasionally you see news articles, right, about, oh, I used to work for this IT company and I quit, now I am making more than $1 lakh a month. And the reason why these things are in the news is because they are exceptions to the rule. It is not the rule. Please don't go into the gig economy.
Last one.
Yeah, one question, Professor. Thank you for taking us through the gig economy part. My question is, having sat through the whole thing, I get a sense of ambivalence, okay? So directionally, that's your personal perspective. Is this an opportunity? I don't think a change is inevitable. So if this is an opportunity, what amends we need to make to kind of, for the younger generation particularly, to adapt to this gig economy?
My personal perspective is that the gig economy is here to stay and here to grow. Especially the blue collar is definitely going to grow, and the white collar is going to grow as well. So for example, in the US, we all now have all kinds of skilled professionals, including surgeons, nurses, and even professors who are in the white collar gig economy. Doctor is on demand, surgeon is on demand, professor is also on demand. So this isn't going away anytime. My personal advice to young people is that the best thing you can do around the gig economy is to stay away from it.
Oh. Thank you very much. I think please give her a loud applause. And to give the memento to the IIM professor, we have another veteran from Harvard, a managing committee member, and former president of St. Stephen's College, the one Malayali after Shashi Tharoor. Welcome, Thomas Varghese. Please come. He's our managing committee member. Come.
As we come towards the conclusion of this evening, I invite Mr. Ramesh Nair, Joint Secretary, Kerala Management Association, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Respected President of the KMA, Sri Aljias Khalid, our Program Chair, Dr. Anil in absentia, Co-Chair of Programs, Dr. Radha, and our keynote speaker and chief guest of the day, Dr. Anjana, members of the Management Committee of the KMA, members of KMA and other distinguished guests, a very warm good evening. So today we all been given an insight of what gig economy is, and I hope everybody enjoyed like I did. I could understand from the questions you had, it was very insightful for all of us, wonderful, because even though it was kind of, we felt like some of the questions, it was a slightly negative perspective what you said, you already told also people don't join, but it is the need of the hour, because as consumers we all are benefited by that, right? So we all use Blinkit, we all use Uber, we all use Zepto, Zomatos and all that. So they are the need of the hour, and nevertheless we all had our own apprehensions and our own insights on what gig economy is. So today we know what it is in a better way, and thanks Dr. Anjana for taking your time and coming over and explaining us in very simple terms what it is and what it means for the nation also, because 4% is not a small amount for our nation. So it will always play a part in our nation building, informal economy, informal workforce. So it will stay, it will come to stay, because challenges opportunities will come, challenges will be always be there, and we'll overcome, and it will settle with legislations, I hope will come. So thank you, and thank you all of you for participating, and thanks our MCs, secretarial team, and thank you all for having attended and interacted in such a lovely sessions. And next week we have on 10th of July we have a Women's Leaders Forum, where we have on marketing 101 and beyond, 2016 and beyond, by Divya Purnaya. So please do come and attend the session. It's again another insightful on the where technology changes, all these things come into play. You know, marketing is different from what it used to be, like the jobs, like the gig jobs. So thank you all, and wishing you all a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.